Hi, my name's Daryl, and here's your Jeep news for April 2nd. So, yeah, happy Liberation Day. So today is the day where Trump is going to announce his tariffs. And he's going to do this, I think, later in the afternoon after the stock markets close. There's going to be reciprocal tariffs, I believe, for most goods. So whatever countries tariff us, we're going to tariff them back. So, I think that's probably a good thing. I wish that we were going a little bit slower and a little more incrementally, but he's going to kind of tear off the Band-Aid and just see how much we bleed. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But the bigger news is the effects that this is going to have on the auto market. So he's going to be announcing, or he already did, announcing tariffs of 25% for imported vehicles. And it's not only for imported vehicles. That 25% tariff is for parts that come into these vehicles as well. So it could actually be just used parts. So if you go out and get your Jeep fixed and you need a part, and if it's imported, it's going to have a 25% tariff. So there's going to be some really interesting things that are going to happen in the automobile sector over the next, couple of months. We're just going to have to see kind of where everything happens. But one news report, they said that Stellantis could have their annual earnings hurt by up to 75%. So, if you don't know, Stellantis, they're the makers of the Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, Fiat, as well as another of European-based automakers. So yeah, if their earnings are affected 75%, this is definitely going to have an impact in the automobiles, the pricing of automobiles, of your Jeeps, and any other vehicle that you're interested in. A lot of folks buy imported cars, and with that tariff, the price of those cars is going to go up. So you might be thinking, well, maybe people are going to buy American instead. Well, what's likely going to happen is we're going to get less imported cars. And if we get less imported cars, that's going to have a dramatic effect on kind of the availability and how much U.S. consumers try to get American automobiles, because they're going to be less affected by that tariff. So what do you think that's going to do with prices? Yeah, they're going to skyrocket. So, whenever you have less availability of automobiles, if you can remember when the pandemic was in effect, we didn't have a lot of automobiles on lots. What did that do to the price of new cars? And what did that do to the price of used cars? So we're in certainly for a very interesting time. So want to show you what automobiles are affected by this tariff. So Stellantis does import a number of automobiles into the United States. A lot of the automobiles that Stellantis makes, they make in Mexico as well as Canada. And they do this primarily because the cost of labor down there is less. And so it costs less for them to build these automobiles down there. So these are the imported vehicles by Stellantis. So we have the Jeep Wagoneer S. That's a brand new vehicle. It's an EV, a battery electric vehicle only. It hasn't actually got to all that great of a start, but they are being sold. The Jeep Compass is also, it's made in Mexico. There's the upcoming Jeep Recon EV, and actually have a story about that just a little bit later. The Dodge Charger Daytona, which is another EV vehicle, which also hasn't got off to a great start. So you're probably telling yourself, I don't care about any of these automobiles as well. Well, just hold on a second. We have the Chrysler Pacifica, and I love me a minivan. I actually love the Pacifica. I actually love the Pacifica plug-in hybrid, but not a lot of people really like that. And also the Ram heavy-duty truck. So the Ram 2500, 3500, and I think they make a 4500 heavy-duty trucks. All those are made in Mexico as well. So that affects a lot of us, kind of do a lot of RVing and a lot of truck stuff. Yeah, it's definitely going to affect the heavy-duty trucks. So you might still be saying to yourself, well, I don't think this is going to impact me. I don't buy heavy-duty trucks. I don't buy any of that EV crap. I don't buy minivans. I just buy Jeep Wranglers, right? Well, hold on a second. So what I talked about is Stellantis earnings are going to go down by 75%. Do you think, in regards to the tariff, do you think they're only going to apply that to the vehicles that are getting that tariff? That's not very likely. They're probably going to spread it around to all of their automobiles. And given the shortage that we're likely going to have in the automobile sector, well, you're probably going to see some markups at the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealerships as well. So yeah, it's pretty sad. All right, let's look at some window stickers. So this is a Ram 1500. This is a truck. The Ram 1500s, unlike the 2500 and 3500 heavy-duty trucks, they are made in America. But what they do show on the window stickers, they show how much of the vehicle is built inside the United States and where the parts come from. So if you look at this sticker right here for the Ram 1500, now this is the V6 Pentastar, I believe. So let's look at that. Oh no, this is the Hurricane, I'm sorry. So this is the Hurricane engine, which is a great engine, by the way. You can see that 55% of the parts are from America, and the vehicle is built in Sterling Heights, Michigan, but 39% of the parts come from Mexico, including the engine. So the engine comes from Mexico, the transmission comes from the United States. So you're probably saying to yourself, well, I don't care about that Hurricane engine. It sucks anyway. I'm only interested in getting the Pentastar engine. So if you look at that same Ram 1500 with the Pentastar engine, okay, so this has the 3.6 Pentastar engine, and if I go down to the country of origin again, 55% of the parts are from US and Canada. Now they don't separate this out. So that's one of the things that they're going to have a hard time doing, is just trying to figure out where all these kind of parts come from. So the government has a lot of work to do. So hopefully Trump didn't cut any parts of that government. But yeah, 55% come from America. Still, even though that the engine is made from the United States, so the engine comes from the US and the transmission comes from the US, but still almost 40% of the foreign-made parts, so 55% is from America and 45% is from out of the country. So 39% of the parts are from Mexico, but 45% of the parts are from outside the United States. And this is on a vehicle that's built in the United States that have its engine and transmission from the United States. Now I know automakers are really lobbying for those tariffs for the parts to only take effect in regards to the larger parts of the engine, so like the engine and the transmission. So I know they've been lobbying Trump and the administration in regards to that. So hopefully they're successful with that, because some things like making a seat belt or making a seat or all these other small little parts, a lot of times they go across the border multiple times, like 4 or 5 times, in order to get that finished product that is then assembled in the United States. So hopefully they do succeed with that. I think they will. It'll make it easier for the government to figure out how to use the tariffs and how to correctly apply them as they're coming into the United States. And if they only worry about the bigger parts, that makes automakers and everybody's job a little bit easier. Now let's look at the Jeep. So a Jeep Wrangler, and we're pretty lucky here. So 64% of the vehicle is made in US and Canada, but once again, we don't have the breakdown in that US and Canada. So that means 36% of the parts are made from out of the country, so quite a bit. 18% coming from Mexico, but remember right now, we don't care if they're Mexico or Canada. That 25% applies to vehicles or parts coming from anywhere outside the United States. Now, luckily, so the final assembly point is in Toledo, Ohio. The engine is from the United States and the transmission is from the United States. So really good news there. So I think it's, it's going to be interesting to see what happens today. A little bit later today, I know Trump is making this announcement after the stock market closes. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens to the stock market tomorrow. And I just want to hopefully just see Trump stick to his guns. I'm tired of this going back and forth, kind of on again, off again. You need to take some time and to see what happens, and then make corrections a little bit longer. I mean, because I think right now countries are kind of assuming he's just going to back off this. You have to make a decision and kind of stick with it. So it's gonna be fun time. All right, so in my next story, we're gonna talk about the Jeep Recon. Now, the Jeep Recon is Jeep's EV off-roader. So I think they're making a mistake, just like they made with the Dodge Charger. I don't think muscle car enthusiasts certainly weren't interested in an EV, and I don't think off-roaders are interested in an EV as well. So I don't know if this is Jeep kind of changing their mind in regards to the Recon. They've put a lot of work into this. It's been seen testing quite a bit, but previously when you went to the Jeep webpage, and if you scroll down, you would see information about the Jeep Recon on the page. Now, I'm not the one that noticed this, so I was watching Mopar Insiders, and they have a YouTube channel, and I was watching, some conversations yesterday, and Robert, he noticed that, and he actually got a ping from some of his buddies. They were like, hey, the Recon isn't on the Jeep webpage anymore. So it's still there. You actually have to go to jeep.com/recon.html. So if you do type that in, you can still get to where they were kind of talking about the Jeep Recon. So it hasn't totally disappeared. They haven't took the DEI out of the Recon yet. but so it actually is still there, but Jeep isn't kind of making it front and center anymore. So it's really interesting to see. Robert's got some questions out to the Jeep folks asking for clarification on this. He hasn't got an answer on that yet, but it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the Recon. Now, in my next news story, let's talk about Q1 for Stellantis. So total sales slid compared to last year at this time for the first quarter of 2024, and it slid 12%. Now, Stellantis is kind of putting a good face on this. They said that the selling of their vehicles actually rose from month to month. So they said their year-over-year retail sales were actually 13.8% up when disallowing for discontinued models. And they're also pointing to, I guess, January and February, and supposedly the sales were up between from February to March. And so they're saying that their sales actually had increased. But yeah, it's going to be real interesting. I know there's been some news stories about everybody buying cars before the tariffs take effect. So I think for the period of the last couple of weeks, I think you're going to see April sales boom. And then we're going to see what happens in May after the tariffs take effect. So on my next news story, let's talk about the RamCharger. So the RamCharger is kind of one of my new favorite vehicles. I've had a plug-in hybrid RAV4 Prime for a long time, but I've always wanted something that could tow a little bit more. I've always wanted a plug-in hybrid pickup truck, and the RamCharger fits that bill very well. So it is a battery electric vehicle, but it has a Pentastar V6 that acts as a generator, basically charging the battery when it runs. And so you get something like 140 miles of EV range, and then when the battery is extinguished, then the Pentastar engine kicks on and starts charging the battery. So you really never have to actually plug it into a charging station. You can just fill up with gas. So really interesting, unique vehicle. And the Mopar Insiders folks, they actually found, this was actually a couple weeks ago, they saw it testing on public roads. And it was actually the ultra premium tungsten trim. It was the first time they've actually seen it out on public streets without it being camouflaged. So really exciting. Seems like that Ram 1500 RamCharger is getting ready to be released. Hopefully, at least pricing is going to be announced soon. Yeah, so I was so excited about the RamCharger, I actually went out to Facebook and I created a Facebook group. It's called the RamCharger Ram 1500 Truck. Yeah, I only have 10 subscribers so far, but I've kind of compiled a bunch of different news articles and YouTube videos about the RamCharger. And so if you are interested in, yeah, if you are interested in getting more information about the RamCharger, I kind of put a bunch of the information on there. So just go into Facebook and go to groups and just search for RamCharger, and you can find that group. So since I'm talking about my Facebook groups, let me talk about another one. So if you are interested in Jeeps, especially if you have a Wrangler or Gladiator and you're maybe a kind of a newer Jeeper, check out this group. I've got this really nice group. It's called Wrangler Jeeping for Beginners, and it's really tailored towards beginners. So we really try to moderate the group in such a way where, we try to keep a lot of the conflict out, or at least not necessarily conflict, but we try to keep, if you're saying nasty things or insulting another person, yeah, we don't allow that kind of stuff. So we try to keep it really cordial and friendly as much as possible, and try to have it stick to talking about Jeep Wranglers and Jeep Gladiators and off-roading. So yeah, if you are interested, if you're a newbie, a Jeep Wrangler newbie, go ahead and check this group out. It's really a really nice resource. I have a really great moderator that knows a whole lot about Jeeps. He's been Jeeping for his entire life, and so a lot of really useful information in this group. So I was talking about the RamCharger, how I was so excited about it, and how I created a Facebook group and can't wait till it's come out. I put a deposit on it. I'm all set. Well, TK's Garage. So TK does 4 or 5 videos a day. He's constantly putting information out there. Some of it isn't accurate. Some of it is wrong, but a lot of it's right. So he got from his sources, he got information about the RamCharger Tradesman. Now, if you look at the thumbnail, it actually says MSRP is going to be $72,000. About a month ago or so now, where they talked about some of the technical details about the Ram and the RamCharger, and Tim Kuniskis, he talked about pricing, and he didn't say what the pricing of it was going to be, but they said it was going to be somewhat similar to current trims and current models of a similar nature. So I guess that's about right. So it made it seem like if you got like a base tradesman for maybe 50,000 or so, maybe 52, that maybe you would get a little bit of a premium for the RamCharger version of it, of that powertrain. So I was thinking really it was possible to get like a base model for around $60,000. Well, supposedly the insiders have told TK that they're looking at, for the base tradesman or bighorn, they're looking at a starting MSRP of $78,200. I really hope that he's wrong. I did watch another video where they spent some time talking about this, and they kind of speculated that they were taking into consideration already the potential effects on the tariffs and how that would impact the pricing of this vehicle. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and maybe this was just to send a little scare out to the public, but I really hope they don't do this. I mean, I think the Jeep brand, or the Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram brand in general, needs to earn back the public's trust, and we need some good deals from them and some fair deals from them. And I don't consider this fair at all, to just start off at almost $80,000 before probably destination and taxes, and just getting a couple of nice things, and you're going to be up to over $100,000. That's not reasonable. So I really hope they rethink that, if that's what they're planning on doing, because I don't think there's going to be very many people that are going to be interested in this. They could go down the route of the Dodge Charger Daytona EV, where they they would charge this incredible amount, and they're almost discounting that thing 25, 30, sometimes up to 50% off now, just because they can't sell them. So let's hope they don't shoot themselves in the foot on this one. So this is Daryl with your Jeep News, and I hope to see you in the next one again very soon.